I really like this one webtoon. I'm not sure if you know about it. It's about a stalker that is obsessed with popular boy, blonde, dreamy, charming lad that has many friends, but the stalker wouldn't dare to approach him. Yet somehow he decides to enter his house, to smell the sheets, to adore the furniture, to go to the basement. It was a mistake. There he finds a girl. She pleads him to help her. The fear in her eyes, the gut-wrenching scream. The baseball bat. He is hit by no other than a blonde lad he adores. Well, apparently that boy is a serial killer, and yeah, our precious stalker might die. But he doesn't. They develop an unhealthy relationship, codependency of sorts. Main murderer never truly murders his victim. They whisper each other's names before their ultimate demise. It's BL. Oh, wait, it's horror. Is Killing Stalking a BL or a yaoi? This question always creates a discourse, not only in BL community, but outside fandoms as well. I wonder why. Things Killing Stalking has that usually BLs have. Two main leads making out, being involved in fluffy activities. Dominant and submissive dynamics. The girl, the third wheel. Various dates between main leads. Falling in and out of the feelings. Almost engagement. Koogi subverts these BL tropes in her webtoon. Yoonbum, in your usual BL story, would be a loser, unpopular boy, but in this one he becomes an obsessive stalker. Sangwoo usually would be a popular guy, which takes interest into the not so popular boy, and he develop relationship. But the catch is Sangwoo is a serial killer. Proposal never happens, nor the happy ending, because
불타오르네.
third wheel is murdered by both of the leads, falling in and out of the feelings. Well, that is abusive relationship dynamics that create honeymoon phases. In other words, Killing Stalking has most of the script that your usual BL would follow, with all the arcs, with all the plot lines and the plot points, and both characters are just subverted and made darker, but they still function like BL characters at some point. Killing Stalking is not only one BL or yaoi that has messed up characters. Let's look at works of Harada. For example, Yajirushi from 2014, one of the hardest tamer works, so to say. It is a story about shy, socially awkward blondie that is in love with a dark-haired lad. In this story, Blondie confessed his feelings, and of course Dark is delighted. Though he uses Blondie's love to get various fluff favors. Humiliation. He doesn't respect Blondie. It's just a toy after all. One day, Blondie finds himself a better boyfriend. Obviously, Darky gets pissed. Did he just become a joke? Apparently, Blondie faked the fact that he has a boyfriend. Now Darky is even more pissed. He corners the Blondie and pulls his hair, forcefully brings him into the room and starts to... But Blondie still loves him, still cries, still... Darky feels how his heart starts beating faster, how he too cares about Blondie he's mistreating. You know, the story is tagged as yaoi. Another example, now from the Western media, where unhealthy or perhaps unconventional relationship could still be considered romantic, or like twisted love kind of thing, would be TV series Hannibal. Hannibal is about renewed psychiatrist Hannibal Lecter and his patient, a young FBI criminal profiler who is haunted by his ability to emphasize with serial killers. Twist is Hannibal is the cannibal and the serial killer. During the series, both of the main leads start fascinated with each other and develop intense emotional bond. Catch is, Hannibal is like a cat and his gifts are dead people. I know, charming, but it's like a cat and mouse game also that can only lead into devouring each other or embracing each other. Hannibal sees potential in Will as his partner in crime, and little by little he starts pushing him into a more unstable side. Hannibal TV series is not labeled as romance, because at its core it is detective series. Well, at least in the first 2 seasons, and then we get a third season, which does feel like a fan fiction due to all the tropes it has from there. Main leads craving each other, yet reuniting, second leads having romantic relationship, and so much angst. It's also a slow burn, by the way. And now that I think about it, it could also be labeled as yaoi in Japan. If it was in manga format, actually. So fans agree that Hannibal actually loved Will in some way, and characters in the said universe also think so. But you see, Hannibal doesn't really care about people that much. But he's very elegant and educated. Hey, let's look at Sangwoo. He's also a serial killer, minus the cooking skills and all the classic references about mythology. He's a bit abusive, a lot abusive. I mean, Hannibal is also abusive, but in classy ways, so we just overlook it, you know? So, why do we think that Sangwoo didn't care for Yoonbum? If Hannibal could care for Will, Sangwoo could also care for Yoonbum. Or why do we think that Sangwoo didn't love Yoonbum? But wait, do we even need love as a main ingredient to label work as yaoi or BL? Actually, not really. As long as our main characters are getting it on between themselves or other same gender individuals, it will be labeled as yaoi. You don't need love. Like, for example, Enad. Where do you see love there? There is none. Or in some Harada works. Like, oh my goodness, have you seen Nichan? Or even some manga from the list right here. They are all BL. All of them. Except some. Except maybe this one. And that's it. All of them are shonen yaoi, or BL. Like, so why do you think Killing Stalking is not BL? I don't understand ya. You only need lust, or anything for that matter that makes main leads fluff. Even consent doesn't matter. It can be problematic and still be labeled as yaoi or BL. So to argue that Killing Stalking is just horror makes no sense. It only makes sense for a person reading it to label it as something else, like horror, which sounds cool and normal, because there is stigma about reading BLs. In 2021, I mean, sorry to break it to you, but like, we are still butt of the joke in anime community. We are still butt of the joke in any of the fandom. I know, sucks. But if you read yaoi, you are a crazy Fujoshi who ships everyone and writes fan fiction and does fan art and other things that are creative, but people find problem with it. And if you're a dude or a woman reading Killing Stalking, which doesn't want to be labeled as a Fujoshi or Fudanshi, of course you will deny that there is no romance in it. There is no romance, there is no love, there is nothing in there. So why label it as yaoi? Why ruin this experience? Why I cannot recommend it to people? And if it was horror, it would be so much simpler. You just say like, hey, I read this real nice manga, webtoon. It's horror, it's suspenseful, it's great. It is horror, you should read it. But now it's yaoi. Yeah, now it's yaoi. So why does it matter? It's good, so what? It's yaoi. Those that read Killing Stalking when it was ongoing will remember it. Anticipation of new chapters, theorizing in the Tumblr, analyzing every detail and sentence, checking if it's foreshadowing, psychoanalyzing characters, and introducing people to such concepts as gaslighting, abusive relationship dynamics, and South Korean social problems, nuances of translations from Korean to English. When hiatuses hit, Koogi was taking a break from weekly updates due to her health. Fandom was alive, with more material, fan fictions, fan art, videos, rereading chapters. It was fun. Of course, there were some trolls which accused us of romanticizing the abusive relationship, mostly Euronice fans which were confused and hoping to another popular BL home before the next grand love story, or maybe they were troll accounts. I know it sounds absurd, but when I was part of Killing Stalking fandom, I learned about interesting psychology research studies and remember my love for psychology. After fall of Tumblr, Killing Stalking tag was butchered as well. Perhaps that's why people have one-sided image of the fandom. Middle school girls reading Killing Stalking and giggling about it. Trust me, their local library has a lot more messed up things than Killing Stalking, and those books are without tags nor warnings. Plus, it's assumption that they never saw messed up relationships in their real life, if they exist. Regarding characters, Koogi wrote so well that I related with characters and cared for them, even if they were quite messed up. It was weird to see myself reflected in those two characters. How I could at some point understand Sangwoo's aggression, disgust with women and men alike, struggle with sexuality and craving, yet noticing how nauseating it was, how I could understand Yoonbum's craving for affection, and how it didn't matter where it came from. I could understand his alienation from society, disgust with himself, and how people always looked at him as he was a piece of shit. These feelings of being outsider, they're relatable for some of us, or perhaps many. Like, for example, Fujoshis tend to get shamed for their tastes, maybe even emotionally abused for liking such dirt that is yaoi. Or for some people, low self-esteem characters are also relatable. My point is that people liked Killing Stalking not only because of the bond between characters, but because of many things like suspense, narrative, relatability, painful narrative, and fandom, which was really friendly. I know, sounds messed up, but that's the point of Killing Stalking, isn't it? I know it isn't personal, but all these video essays and comments about how Killing Stalking messes up young people and makes them idolize abusive relationships. But like, honeymoon phases exist in real life, and Killing Stalking showcases both of our characters suffering, how manipulative abusers are, and narrative-wise their actions are not condoned. It feels like YouTubers look at it and are not part of even anime fandom or yaoi, are outsiders looking into culture they are not really aware of. Dark BL existed before Killing Stalking. Dark themes are prevalent in the literature too. Yes, media influences people, but to fall Killing Stalking for negative influence? Nah. Or perhaps Western media, which romanticizes abuse but condones it in its narrative. Isn't it more damaging to just see abusive tropes and showcase them as normal romantic relationship? Killing Stalking never pretended to be normal. Author knew that it was abusive and showcased it. Yet in most cases, when I go to comments on those Killing Stalking essay makers, all I see is how people look at Fujoshis as if they're freaks. Well, they heavily imply that. As if there are no adults in this fandom who understand the gravity of Killing Stalking. Somehow it feels like they yet again are belittling yaoi genre, which mostly hosts women writers, by also saying it's horror, not yaoi, because yaoi cannot be well written and have messed up themes, thought-provoking stuff, twisted relationships. It's shameful to be part of yaoi tag? You must be joking. I understand that Koogi herself wanted it to be tagged as only horror. Is it because there is stigma and specific stereotypes associating with BL? But as you can see, it makes sense why she said so. Nobody wants to get backlash for creating a story which is about two problematic people, about murder, stalking, and abuse, which is tagged as yaoi, so who can fault her? What's the main takeaway from this? Yaoi doesn't need to be vanilla, doesn't need to have love, nor does it need to have a stable relationship which has happy ending. Yaoi and BL genres can have messed up stories that are well written. There is no point to accuse Killing Stalking fans of idolizing messed up things, because we just like good suspense. Killing Stalking is yaoi and always was. Fujoshis are still looked down upon for their tastes, and works that have good narrative are labeled as something else. What's your take on this? Any fans alive which remember Killing Stalking hiatuses, Tumblr days, or maybe you were part of that big Russian fandom? I saw you there. No, I don't know Russian. Anyways, comment below. Bye bye.